We're going to grade the Browns trade here of Deshaun Watson. Now, we know what happened initially. The Houston Texans, they acquired so much capital here. I honestly feel like the Texans are probably the bigger winners in this trade because with Lovie Smith, and granted, you're going to have Nick Caserio, he's going to be on the back end there, and Lovie Smith's here saying, hey, you should do this. And as a coach, I'd be like, Nick, shut up and let me do my job, all right? I don't need your analytics in my ear. I've been a coach in the NFL for quite some time. Get out of my ear. Let me do my job. I know that might be an interesting dynamic to follow in Houston, but you know what? They got Davis Mills, and I am stoked about Davis Mills, Tommy. I don't know about you, but
I like
now
Davis Mills. I genuinely do.
They have so much capital that they've received in this trade with the, obviously with the Cleveland Browns here. For me, I'm going to start off here with the Houston Texans. I'm going to write it down on mine, what grade I have given them, and let me know when you're ready, and we'll flip it over here. I think the Texans did really well here. I think out of everything, they have a lot to build with. They have a really good young nucleus that they're developing and working with. I'm stoked about it. To see where you're at. All right, I got mine. Let's go 3, 2, 1. I've got an A. Hey, look at that. We're
doing the same thing. I'm giving them an A.
So the reason I give them an A, Tommy, is not only do you acquire a massive load of capital, you have a young nucleus that you're building with. And look, maybe Brandon Cooks might want to stay now in Houston there with Davis Mills. And I know for Pep Hamilton's done such a fantastic job with trying to implement something. Everywhere Pep Hamilton's gone, quarterbacks have had some success. They've grown and they've developed. I'm excited to see how it goes. It will be interesting to see what it is like with Lovie Smith, though, and what they decide to do. Obviously, there's some young defensive pieces there. They're continuing to grow. Why would you give this an A on behalf of the Houston Texans?
For me, Houston has always kind of stood firm on what they wanted back in a package. They wanted multiple first-round picks, multiple second-round picks, blah, blah, blah. They didn't necessarily get the seconds, but they got a ton of firsts for a guy who the most of the rest of the league didn't necessarily want to touch. So when you have all these other teams and weren't even necessarily in the running in terms of where Deshaun Watson wanted to go to because he had this no trade clause, like the Houston Texans had to move off their biggest piece. Their biggest piece was absolutely Deshaun Watson, and it just so happened to be the most polarizing piece. It took the Cleveland Browns willing to kind of step up and say, hey, look, we'll take this on, whatever the outcome is going to be from a PR standpoint, given this massive contract, and they pulled off a great move. This is a team that I think they're going to quickly be able to use these picks and flip them so long as they draft well to be able to rebuild this franchise and kind of get competing back in the AFC South. So I do like this move for the Houston Texans. You build it on Davis Mills, who just needs a little bit of time trying to get himself the reps that are just he needs at this point because he didn't really get them at Stanford. You got Brandon Cooks. You kind of build some other pieces along that. The Houston Texans might be able to kind of put something together. This just jump starts that rebuilding process.
Well, now let's focus on the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know the popularity of the move that they got. Obviously, they acquired Deshaun Watson. They gave up a lot of capital. I know the move is going to probably, in terms of the eyes, from a moral standpoint, and from just I don't even know what the right word is.
I'm just keeping it between the lines.
Yes,
I'm just staying between the white lines.
I think the morality point, a lot of people are going to give it an F grade, but I think if we just stick to strictly a football perspective, what type of player that the Browns are getting from a football in between the lines, in between the whistle prospect, I've got my grade already ready and written down here for the Cleveland Browns in terms of what they're getting. I do think that obviously what they had to give up to get him is a lot, and obviously the contract is a ton, and I'm not sure how that's going to impact them in terms of being able to make moves down the line to be able to surround them with more, but I've got mine here.
I'm good.
All right, let's hold it up here. I've got it as an A-. Hey, okay, look at that. Dude, you and I are in sync, my friend, and I'm not talking Justin Timberlake.
Simpatico, some might say.
Well, so let's talk about this as well. Okay, so now we look at the Cleveland Browns. You're getting a ridiculously good quarterback in terms of his on-field talent and production. You're getting that. You're combining that with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt in the run game. Now, some questions, though, too, especially considering they released J.C. Treader. Tight end's a little bit of a question. I know they franchise tag David Njoku, who I think is great, but you still need in today's NFL, in my firm opinion, and I could be wrong, I still feel like you really need two good tight ends.
I think Harrison Bryant take that step forward. I do like him.
You're going to take a big step. But then receivers, the more interesting point, okay?
It is.
You do have Amari Cooper, and we'll talk about that trade a little bit later, and we'll give our grade for that. He's great. He's going to be a great addition, but what do you have after that at wide receiver? The talent is not necessarily there. Rashard Higgins, gone. OBJ, traded away. I mean, released, not traded away, released. Jarvis Landry, released. I don't know, man. I said,
you're hoping for a big step from Donald Peoples-Jones. That's the big thing, but he didn't necessarily even have that when he was at Michigan. So wanting to do it at the next level, we'll see what happens there. For me, it's, look, the Browns are trying to win. This is what it does. The only reason I'm giving this like an A- instead of an A is just because we don't know if he's going to be able to play this season or how much he's going to play this season. Like, the pending suspension is what's kind of dropping this down for me. But look, if you're trying to win, like, Deshaun Watson on the field, top 6 quarterback in the NFL, like, and when he's at his prime, like, it's on his worst day was as good as Baker Mayfield when he was feeling himself out on the field. So like 4,800 yards last time we saw talent out there on the offense. Like, we're going to assume we're probably going to get a similar level of Deshaun Watson, what we saw back in 2020. He'll prove that when he gets back on the field. Once he gets back out there, then I expect the Cleveland Browns to be rolling. They're going to be competing for the title in the AFC North, and hopefully at that they're hoping to move towards the playoffs. But yeah, for me, it's an A-.